What is real education? Take that question. What is real education? So you tried. Anurag, can you try this? Tell me, did you watch Krishnamurti video?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Who is saying yes?
Anurag.
Anurag. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Can you tell me what is the summary of that video? Very good.
Means they said that this current system of education is not holistic because it is lopsided. So we have to look towards the psychological side of the life or brain.
That's good. Very good point. It is not holistic and we have to take psychological side. That is true. Very good. But what is that psychological side, Anurag?
Sir, that psychological side means without distortion, just know the pain or sorrow or like compassion or conscience.
But what is meant by that? Did we do such a thing in detail in any context? Did we cover this in any context?
Yes, sir.
Anurag, where did we discuss these things?
Rothschild.
How about Socrates?
Yes, removing the ignorance.
Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Okay, they all believed that we should know ourselves. Okay, self-knowledge, what gives happiness, what leads to sorrow. Okay, but Krishnamurti is saying that there should be direct observation of one's life. Okay, and education is not simply accumulation of knowledge. Education is not simply what is useful for career and livelihood. The psychological aspect. Okay, one should observe life. And he says you don't need scriptures, you don't need many other tools if you learn how to observe. Okay. Okay, Anurag, what else did you learn from his speech?
Means, sir, not good question.
What else did you learn? I mean, what are the other points?
Sir, that's.
And can you tell me other points, or can you tell me why the education is not like that? And how can we make it like that? And why do you think that education is needed? I mean, that is what Krishnamurti said, but what do you say?
Sir, current system of education is purely commercialized in the wake of capitalism.
Okay.
And holistic education requires even Buddhism also says that holistic education create a human being rather just a human.
Okay. Okay. Mayank, did you follow that video?
Yes, sir, I went through it.
Okay, please tell me what are your views?
So he talks about how one can read oneself through relationships. I didn't get that bit.
Very good. Very good. How
And how we
one can read through one's relationships. Yes. Just I think I didn't switch on one more light.
And how so that will enable us to free ourselves from the tradition, the thoughts that are entrenched in our minds.
What is that?
So somehow that will enable us to break free from the entrenched thoughts and in our minds.
Exactly. It breaks you free from entrenched thoughts. Very good. That is supposed to help uncondition oneself.
Yes. So, but I didn't quite understand how relationships, observing of relationships would.
That is good. Let me ask you, if you want to observe yourself, in what way you will observe yourself other than through relationship? When you are observing yourself, it is about what you said to the other, what the others told you, how you are hurt, how you felt good, felt bad, your dreams. It is all about relationship. We exist in relationship. We have an idea of whether we are good or bad in the context of relationship. So Krishnamurti says you understand things through relationship. So when we are angry, when somebody says something and we are angry, either we try to control or we try to harm or hurt. We don't really examine, first of all, why we are angry. To Krishnamurti, why we are angry is more important than what you do with your anger later. He calls you stupid, and so you try to become intelligent, or say he is stupid, or you simply worry that you are really stupid, whatever. You don't see that you think you are not, you think you are intelligent, somebody calls you stupid, or you think you are actually stupid and you don't want. So if you look at yourself through your reactions to those comments, then you will understand yourself. Okay, so that is self-knowledge. That is what Krishnamurti is saying. So you understand yourself through relationship. Mayank, please continue.
So he also talks about educating the parents as well as the educators.
Exactly. Because how can children be educated? They are following somebody. So they emulate people around. So parents should be educated and teachers should be educated. In fact, that is a problem with education. Who has to educate the parents and who has to educate those teachers? So that is the issue. Please, Maya, continue.
So they should be educated from their childhood itself. Like those values should be. So, but then it's a chicken and egg problem of sorts. Where do you start? Because
exactly, that is the issue. The problem with education is ideally seen as a tool to break from the past, to make a new beginning. But then who has to make the new beginning? Who will allow to make the new beginning? Who is controlling the education? The old arrangements continue to control the education. So it is parents who want the child to be an engineer and a doctor and earn like that. So it is that education they want the teachers to give. So teachers and parents together want the children to be educated in a particular way. So they are not planning to create a new world. So education is a more efficient way of realizing the old values rather than new values. So the problem with education is who has to educate the educator? And more importantly, who wants to change? So philosophers think in terms of children should be changed through education, but then educational system is not amenable for that. So the people who control the system don't want radical changes to the system, or when they want to change in the way they think desirable. Mayank, please proceed.
So I was thinking another thing, that if the parents have to educate the child, then they should be spending more time with the child themselves.
If the parents want to
Educate the child according to their values. Suppose
Oh.
they have been educated well and they want to educate the child well according to their values, they'll need time for that. And so the current work culture doesn't
Exactly.
allow for that, for both parents to spend time with the
That is
child.
true. That is true.
So then I related to how around 50, 60 years back, how the current work culture has evolved from then. So maybe at the time only the man was working. So the
Parents
9 to
are
5 work
busy,
culture,
but it
5 days,
assumes that, but you are assuming that if they are not busy, they will educate rightly. But is that true?
I'm not sure. I was just thinking.
Hmm?
So I was just thinking in my head. I'm not entirely sure about it. If
Ah,
the work culture
if
is
they are,
evolved.
because they are busy, they may not educate. That is true. But can we say if they are not busy, they will educate rightly?
So we can't take that question. Yeah.
Isn't it? In fact, if they are clear about the values, they may set up certain institutions, or they may send their children to right schools, or they may tell the teachers that this is the way my children should be educated.
So the demand needs to come from the.
The demand would come from their side if they really want a different education.
So again, even if you look at the political class, they don't have an incentive to educate people in this manner.
Exactly.
So because it will prevent them from controlling the mind.
That is true. That is true. So who wants a real education? Do parents want the children to be really educated? Because real education may make them think freely. They may not be obedient of the traditions. They may not think the way the parents are thinking. In fact, the parents want the children to think in science very rationally, logically, but not outside science. Okay, so do politicians want the students to think about politics or constitution or religion differently? So leave politicians. Do parents want? Okay. So what is the real education is an issue, and even if we have an idea of what is a real education, how we implement it is an issue. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mayank, continue.
So he also talks about how education is the cultivation of mind and how that will prevent us from being fragmented, given the multiplicity of values in the society. And
How education is a?
so cultivation of mind. So how it will help build our integrity. So he talks about fragmentation somewhere.
Yes. Okay.
So he also talks about what love for the child really means for the parent. Is it their own self-interest, or
he thinks if there is he uses the word love in a different way. He thinks if parents really love, they won't inflict this violence on the children.
Yes,
he considers this education as violence. So if parents really love, they won't do like that. But parents think that they love, and that is why they are giving that education to the children. Parents want the children to prosper, to be successful, to achieve, and they think their love is to ensure that the children do it. So Krishnamurti's idea of love is different from parents' idea of love. That's one issue with Krishnamurti. He uses the word love differently. Okay. Anurag, any other point?
He said that education is reflective, means
Education should?
reflective, work as a
Yes.
mirror.
Exactly. Should enable a student to reflect. Okay.
So we can. I was also thinking how we can tie these ideas to. While I was going through the previous class. So the first
How can you
essay topic that we
identify?
discussed.
How can you relate?
So to the previous class that we had, if women are in power, if women are the rulers.
Thank
So
you.
because they have certain
Thank you.
values such as
Thank
nurture
you.
and
Thank
care.
you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. But let us explore what are the things that he said and how Krishnamurti is different. Let me make some adjustments to that. Okay. Okay. We'll link this with the previous topic. It's a very good idea. Okay. Next. Karim, did you watch Krishnamurti's video? Karim.
Yes, sir.
So what did you learn from him?
Sir, am I audible? No?
Okay. Yes, you are audible.
So what I majorly understood was he is telling that brain is not only one thing and one direction. So a lot of aspects are there linking with each part of the brain.
Okay.
And we are trying to educate only one part of it. So
not holistic.
Psychical part of the brain should be taken care. Even when we are teaching the children about king, queen, and all, we just forget to convey the psychical part where how they felt in certain situations, like what was the sorrow they have come up to, what were the pains, these kind of things, and all we ignore, ending up the particular factual information just for like education is just for livelihood, doing some like building some knowledge in only one direction in particular subject, like engineer in the sense this one, and
Okay. Fine.
based on the
Okay. So, okay. Devansh, you wanted to ask something?
No, sir. No, nothing to ask.
Nothing to ask. Okay. Deepti, you have something to say? Did you watch Krishnamurti video?
No, sir, I haven't watched the video.
You should, please. You are a psychology student.
I will watch it, sir.
And then Deepti, you attend psychology-oriented essays in the exam.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Psychology, philosophy, you will do better because it's your background.
Okay, sir.
So, okay, one more point in the selection of essay. Maybe I have not discussed this before. Just see in your background, if you do an essay related to your background, what is reasonably good from your point of view, from your knowledge point of view, will look excellent from the examiner point of view. Because given your knowledge, you may think it is an okay essay, but then others don't have that specialized knowledge. So that essay comparatively will be a much better essay. On the other hand, if you are attempting an essay in which you don't have background, you may be excited about writing about it because you have learned something new. But comparatively, that essay may not be good. I have seen many science students attempting a social science or philosophy essay, not doing well, but thinking that they have done a great job. It is because they are not sufficiently exposed. So they don't understand how much ignorant they can be. So my point is, though you prepare for all kinds of essays, you should prepare. When you are choosing an essay, choose an essay where in which you have an advantage. Philosophy optional, you have an advantage. Psychology optional, you have an advantage. Anthropology, there is an advantage. It is like that. Is my point clear?
Yes, sir.
So what is a reasonable essay from your background will be a very good essay from the examiner point of view. Okay. And also it is not only optional, it is in general what was your reading, what kind of books you were reading, what kind of things you were influenced by, whom did you interact, what was your experience, rural or urban, or your father, or what did you learn. So if you can bring in that would be great. I see so much of similarity between essay preparation and interview preparation. So both can bring out who you are. Both can bring out who you are. In fact, that is the purpose of the essay. But people don't want that. People want to somehow make it a GS oriented and escape. They don't want to express, they don't want to say anything. They want to make it GS oriented and run away from it. Okay. So through the knowledge, through that essay, ultimately you convey a world view or your world view. And through conveying that world view, you convey about yourself. It is like that. Same approach in the interview, but here you have so much of time to do it. So that's why your essay comes out as if you are personally signed. That is a good essay. Okay, not GS. In fact, if it is a GS topic, you should find out how to make it an essay. This is so much of GS, how to make it an essay. That is a challenge in a GS topic. If it is not a GS topic, how to write 1,000 words. So what to write if it is not a GS topic, and if it is a GS topic, how to make it an essay. Okay, so the essay selection is one very important thing. And then second thing is how you present. Okay, so what is real education has all these things. And link this to economic system, political system. What is the economy doing? It's simply maximizing the production and consumption. So if the economic goal is production and consumption, education goal is to make people fit into that system. Okay, so link with economy, politics, and then mind, psychology, philosophy, and what should be good and how things can be changed. Krishnamurti gives a psychological insight, but you can think in terms of economy, polity, environment, climate change, and many other things. Krishnamurti doesn't talk about such things at all. He is confined only to issues of mind, psychological and philosophical issues. He doesn't say anything else, but in your examination, essay can be much more broader rather than simply philosophical. Okay, you connect it to other areas. So that is real education. Okay. Okay, any questions on what I said?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Please. Sunil?
Sir, sir, we talked about economic and political system and all that. We should be aspiring for a good system. But then who has stopped people from doing what they want? Everyone is doing what they wish for.
No, because economy sets goals. Economy says this is how you should work. This is how only in this way you will get payment. So what is education? Education is trying to fit man to those jobs available. So that is how economy shapes education. In fact, now universities are asked to fund themselves. Professors are asked to find research work for themselves. And who is giving? The industries. What are industries doing? What people want and what people want. They have no control over themselves. So look at so much of mindless production and consumption. So what is this entire education? Do you see actually the entire education is simply about how to produce and how to make life physically comfortable? Is it not so? Mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering. What is the all engineering about? Make life more comfortable, but only in physical sense. What is all the management about? How to sell these things? Tell me, what else is the education? So much of what we are doing has no meaning actually. It is not that the people don't know that there is no meaning. Some people know that there is no meaning, but they think that, how should I survive in this world? Otherwise, why do we need these many comforts, these many luxuries? Why all that? Doesn't make sense. And especially we have reached a point, this kind of lifestyle, this kind of production is sure to reach to dead end. We'll do climate change. It's just a matter of 100+ years. We are very, very close to destruction. And scientists are saying that this is not sustainable. But then why do we continue? So there is no meaning in this education. There is no meaning in this economy. And education is to serve the economy only. In fact, the true education, a real education, is to understand the contemporary challenges and make people respond to that. Where is such a correspondence? There is no correspondence. Do you know, it is not because people are not working hard. People are working. But for what end? They may do engineering. You know, they are not good even in engineering. Education has become like that. In fact, most people are saying that it is not useful from livelihood point of view because it is not really creating that excellence. Krishnamurti is saying that even if it creates excellence, the whole exercise is meaningless. Even job point of view, education is not relevant. How many people are using the engineering knowledge? How many people are using maths or anything? No use. So even from job point of view, it is inefficient. The jobs are inefficient, and given the crisis climate, then completely different. But even if there is no climate crisis, there is a human crisis which Krishnamurti is talking about. So education is supposed to be the source of new ideas, new world, creation of new world, but that itself has become a victim of the system. That precisely is the problem with education. There is really no meaning in this education. Please.
So he talks about one more thing, how what are the consequences of over-attachment and how being tied to certain ideas can lead to corruption.
Over-attachment to certain ideas.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Krishnamurti thinks that we will come to that. We'll come to what is the essence of Krishnamurti's philosophy. We'll come to that. Fine.
Sir, what you said about education. Sir, on the contrary, those who are the champions of the current system, they say that humans are the most enlightened today, and it is the best of times, even with regards to education, that there were dark ages before this. So then how can we respond that to such a eulogizing?
That is true. First of all, we have improved in so many ways in political organization, economic organization, kindness, sympathy, violence, everything. It is not that we have become bad compared to the past. It is not like that. Compared to the past, we are better. But then, what are we now? Now, we are facing a serious challenge. And this challenge seems to have come from the very success that we are happy with. Economy, science and technology. So intelligence requires, we have come this far, and now suddenly we see that we thought we were successful and we reached a dead end. And education meant ability to go back and reflect and redesign, not go on extinction. Is my point clear, Devansh?
Yes, sir.
It is
Better
not
than
that
past.
it is not that we became worse. It is not like that. Even Krishnamurti is not saying at one time we lived in such a great way and now we lost morality. Not like that. But currently, Krishnamurti's arguments are valid across time. That is different. But currently we are facing a problem. We thought we were successful. We thought we were great. And we suddenly realized the whole model is unworkable. Because this model of growth is unsustainable. So we see problems with capitalism, we see problems with environment, we see problems with economic growth. But compared to previous times, we are great. But remember, previous times did not have this technology. So given this technology, my position is that we could have created far better world. And we are not doing that. In that sense, we may be far less intelligent than our ancestors because they didn't have this technology. So if we retain this technology, but at the same time have the understanding of the mind, we could create a far superior world.
Sir, so technology and then the resultant ecological crisis and climate crisis. But then what about that human psychological crisis? So is human psyche better today or was it better in the
Human
past?
psyche probably is better today. That is my idea. Is probably better. Man is more sympathetic, more kind, and more connected. We are concerned about what is going on in Africa. We are concerned about the globe. We go by what is happening in America. So I think it is a better place. More freedom. I don't deny that. So I am not the one who is saying we should go back. Nor Krishnamurti is saying we should go back. But we are only saying, given our technology, given these things that we achieved, we can lead a better life. That we could have said earlier also. But currently, there is a clear crisis. I take environmental crisis a very, very serious crisis. Currently, there is a crisis. In fact, there is a solution, and we refuse to move on that. And so we need to look at why we are in a mess like this. We are really in a mess. Is my point clear, Devansh?
Yes.
Krishnamurti is talking without reference to climate crisis, but with climate crisis, the whole model is is questioned. It's just that China has to do what America is doing. The world will simply be up in flames. It means that economic model is wrong. Economic model is wrong. Okay. So there is an immediate crisis and man is intelligent enough to realize that there is an immediate crisis, but not wise enough to devise the systems by which he can change. That is a crisis. Krishnamurti is talking about psychological crisis. That is true. But now we have even more urgent, more mundane, more materialistic crisis because the survival is at stake. And then another threat is nuclear weapons. We don't know which terrorist will use. India's security is at stake. We don't know who will use the nuclear weapons in Pakistan. Okay. So this is not an intelligent life, even from a materialistic point of view. Though Krishnamurti is talking about psychological crisis, but both in a way related. We have not solved the psychological crisis, so we have a materialistic crisis. Devansh, are you following?
So, sir, what I get that when we started on this path, life started improving, and then we started moving, and first the West progressed, and then the other world, the global South. But now that we see a great problem, it is time that we stop and rethink and course correct. But that is missing, and that is why we are challenging this education model.
Currently, we are challenging, but Krishnamurti would challenge even otherwise. Because Krishnamurti believes there is a much more intelligent life. But your argument is correct to the current crisis. Your argument is true. But Krishnamurti would argue the same, even if this current crisis is not there.
Sir, Krishnamurti ji's argument is probably because the Western system does not understand the human psyche and consciousness. And
He is not talking about Western system. He thinks that man can live in a completely different way. We will come to that point. We'll come to that point, what he wants to say. We'll come to that point. What is the essence of his philosophy? But what you said is true regarding the current crisis. It's a serious problem. So Krishnamurti speaks in about different things, but you can talk about economy, polity, the world, current crisis, and what is education doing. And more importantly, even from job point of view, education is not doing well because most people are not using what they are learning, and they are not learning much anyway. Of course, they are working and working. Okay.
So what should be
Anurag, you have something to ask?
Sir, for minorities, education means education is a mean for getting life of dignity. For majority, it is getting power.
True. That's
but how to make a holistic education?
That is true. Issue of power. People seek power. Why are they seeking? Karim.
Sir, is it like we shouldn't remember or learn any of the past? Because he mentioned that Gita or Mahabharata, whatever it is, we are just keep on concentrating on those as
He
well.
is saying, he thinks that we don't observe ourselves, we don't learn from ourselves. We read and try to understand them. He thinks one should try to learn directly. That is what he meant. Not that he is against reading. You can read. He may not have read, but doesn't mean he's against it. Okay. So we try to realize what somebody said. Instead of that, he says that you should pursue your life and you can know the truth.
Instead of learning those and just moving in the same path.
Exactly. Okay.
Sir, for this, he says that you are the entire history of mankind.
Exactly.
So you should read yours.
That is true. Okay, coming to Krishnamurti's position more specifically. See, let me tell you, he has certain things to say. See, he believes in what we call our enlightenment. Okay, you can say he is giving a modern language to very traditional philosophy of enlightenment. So he thinks there can be freedom from self, out of which love is possible. That is a more fundamental position. Man can be free from this narrowness. And he thinks, I mean, that is his main philosophy. He thinks the purpose of education is to convey this. We are far from it. But he has this in his mind, though he may not have said it in this talk on education. So he thinks that man need not relate this way. He's too greedy, too narrow, and there is so much of vastness beyond him. And education should make man to realize this vastness and silence. And he thinks that that is the source of real freedom and creativity. It's an entirely different proposition altogether. So instead of saying that some people should get it and everybody else be normal, Krishnamurti thinks the education should convey this vastness. Okay, life, there is so much of creativity, freedom is possible in life, and this life as we are leading is very mediocre. That's Krishnamurti's point. But even if we don't take these positions, life as it is now is not intelligent. That much we can say. But Krishnamurti's point is much different. And here, Krishnamurti is different from Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, and everybody else. Because they are only saying that you find out yourself and then you know what is good, what is bad, and happy, and things like that. But Socrates or Plato didn't know anything like freedom from self and discovery of love and things like that. This is closer to Buddhism. So Buddha, Ramana Maharshi, Krishnamurti, they are saying the same thing, and they think that fundamental transformation is possible for individuals, and many number of people can be transformed, and even if they don't get transformed, a better life is possible. Okay, so Krishnamurti would say the same thing even if there is no climate crisis, even if there are no economic inequalities, and even if everybody is wealthy, Krishnamurti won't think that is wealth at all. It is like that. Okay. So coming to the question, my own question, how do you relate education to yesterday's topic of gender? Women, we discussed that biologically are more tuned towards love, caring, loving and caring, because it is biologically tuned, because they are expected to take care of the children. Okay, but what is going on now is that the economic model is closer to man's model, aggression, success, this, and woman is emulating man. So there is a competition between man and woman. Woman wants to be man and man wants to be Superman to survive challenge from woman. So both of them are in an unhealthy race. And if we see this movement is destruction, man's movement as well as emulating woman's movement, both destructive. So if we understand the sanity is in living quietly, okay, not running and running, we will see, in my understanding, sanity is in man trying to emulate woman and not the other way around. It is man who should pick up feminine values. It is man who should learn to stay at home and take care of the children. And if both do that work, it contributes to women's empowerment, it contributes to better division of work at home, and it contributes to better household. So if we believe that this is the way the sane world should be created, we would come to think that it appears that the man should emulate woman. But what is going on in the name of empowerment? Woman is trying to emulate man. Woman should emulate in certain ways, education, job, but the overall spirit also she is emulating. Success, aggression, achievement, lack of balance. So if we think that the overall direction of mankind is not right, we will come to think man should learn from woman rather than woman should be like man. Okay, because moving towards woman is towards less power, less status. It is about acceptance, love, kindness. Okay, but even they are being challenged, even they are being made to be more and more like men. Okay, so am I clear?
Sir, so the feminist
No, just one
movement has
second.
not.
Just one second. Mayank, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. So I was saying the same thing, that if men were to imbibe those same values, then it won't matter who rules. We'll anyway have a better world.
Men?
So if men were to imbibe those same values of nurture and care, then it won't matter who rules. Then, as in, everybody should have representation.
Fine.
But,
It won't matter who rules. That is also one way of looking at it. Yes. So we should think in terms of how the world should change. And when we have an idea of how the world should change, then we will have an idea of who should change between men and women and in which direction. But if we are not clear about in what way the world should change, we won't know how women should do and what men should do. We should have an idea of how the world should be moving. So within that, we will have a clarity of our gender role. But if we don't have the clarity of how the world should move, what clarity we can have on gender roles? Because as of now, feminism means emulation of men, which is wrong. Men are unworthy of emulation in the first place. So there should be a clarity on in which direction we should go. Okay, Devansh, is my point clear?
Yes, sir.
So you can address gender issue in terms of what kind of world we want to create. We should create a better home, a home in which people would love to stay. Husband and wife would love to stay rather than run to office, and children want to stay rather than go to hostels, fear homes. And how do you create such a home? You create such a home when members know household works. Man knows where the whole house doesn't become chaos when the servant doesn't come. So a better home is needed, a better lovely place is needed, and that is the way you grow up children in a healthy way. If the parents are quarreling, confused, stressed, what kind of ambience you will create to the children? Ambience of insecurity. So what kind of people will they become? Insecure people. So healthy, safe and lovely home is needed for right education, because whatever the right education is, right education requires safety and well-being and acceptance of the child, which is missing now. Devansh, are you clear?
Yes, sir. Actually, a question. Sir, when you said that this movement, feminist movement, is emulating man's values. So, sir, I also remember once you said that people, for example, they say that women can wear any sort of clothes, but then you said that cloth is making a value statement. So, in that way, is the feminist movement also misguided, that they don't know where they should go and they're just blindly emulating?
Any blind emulation is good, bad. So feminism is not just one thing. Feminism means many other things. So certain strands can be misleading. So for example, fight for better education, economic rights, political rights, that is good. So we'll have to see. So I'm only making broadly what is the image of woman. What is the image of woman? Is it to be like men or to be different?
No, sir, I'm not criticizing the entire movement, but just that nobody really criticizes even a strand of this movement. Nobody questions it. Everybody is just supportive of it.
No.
In that
one should question that. There are so many strands which are unhealthy. No doubt about it. Many unhealthy strands. So we should have an idea of what kind of society. For example, man is aggressive and why shouldn't I be? That is an unhealthy competition. Man is drinking and why shouldn't I? When he is slapping and why shouldn't I slap back? Okay. If he can beat, why can't I beat? Okay. So it is a matter of what kind of society we want to create and how we want to create that. It is not like man is like that and we will be like men. It is no, that is a very irresponsible way of looking at things. So when you are copying somebody, emulating somebody, you should emulate right things, not wrong things. And right or wrong depends upon in which direction the society should go. Okay. Am I clear, Devansh?
Yes, sir.
So there should be a clarity regarding in which direction we should go. It is from that we can work out gender roles. If there is no clarity on which direction the society should go, the weak will try to emulate the powerful. So that is how women can think they should emulate men because men are powerful. No, that is not the way. It is not emulation of the powerful. It is that you behave differently and you create a different source of power. It is like that. So if women do just like men do, and even after they get power, the same nonsense continues. But if women can create a different world, that would be good. But women will create a different world when they are not emulating men. But I think on balance, men should emulate women on many, many things. And I think that creates a better world. Of course, there are many things women should emulate men. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so these are all interlinked issues. Very good.
Sir, I have a question.
Please, Sunil.
Sir, when we say that women shouldn't follow men and men should follow women. Sir, when we say that women
in certain things, men should follow women. In certain things, women should follow men. There is no doubt.
Right, but isn't it going against the human instinct itself?
Is it going?
Isn't it going against the human instinct itself?
No, we have certain instincts. In terms of instincts, there are some differences. So we should respect the nature and also see how we want to behave. Culture is not simply going by instinct. Culture takes instinct into consideration. I don't know. What are you saying? Are you saying that woman should be only woman and not emulate men? Is it like that?
No, I'm saying, sir, if you say that women should have its own sphere of power and influence and not emulate men, so I don't think there would be any because the power is held by someone and the other one wants to have a power. So we are contradicting in two ways, either this way or that.
No, there is always a power struggle. See, somebody has power and the powerless doesn't want to be dominated. He wants to be powerful. So what do you say then?
Sir, you said that women should find its own sphere of power and should be independent and should not emulate men. But man is the one who has the power. So it is obvious that women will follow men. What
That is
else
why.
can she do? That is what I'm asking.
But the question is, it is true. Some see basically some have power and powerless want to have power. But why should people have power? Don't you think that should also be part of education? Why is man after power?
That's human instinct, sir, as I see it.
You are saying human instinct.
Yes, sir.
But power is only one of the instincts. There is a human instinct to be loved, human instinct to be safe, human instinct to be a part of a larger community. Why only power?
Because that influences other dimensions, other spheres.
But why should that be the only way? Why should that be the only way? For example, so why power is? I mean, basically man has, okay, that's fine. We'll look into this. Man has many tendencies. Man seeks love. Man seeks power. These things, okay. But civilization can move towards this or can move towards this. We are saying that the better society is the one which moves towards love rather than power. So how do we create such a society is the issue. So different way of answering your question is that power is an instinct, but love also is an instinct. Care is an instinct. To be loved is an instinct. But certain aspects of human nature are undermined and certain aspects of human nature are provoked. We want to relax. That is a human instinct, but we are made to run. That you can say that is not instinctual. We want to sleep. That is instinct. But what are we doing? Want to run, study. Is that human instinct? No. Most of our education is against our instincts. This economic model is not in tune with the instinct. So, like Gandhi showed love, and love is instinct, but somebody showed hatred. Hatred also is instinct. So we are capable of wider spectrum, but what kind of a culture we create in such a way that better part of ourselves is expressed? People are capable of friendship, people are capable of hatred. Both are instincts only. India and Pakistan can live together, and India and Pakistan can quarrel, and they can destroy each other. All are part of human nature. What do you say, Sunil?
Yes.
Thank you. In fact, because you said you are reading my sociological thought, the main thing I put forward in sociological thought is the realization that love is natural. It is not that the power is natural and love is all socialization. It is not true. Power is natural and love is as much natural. Aggression is natural. Non-aggression is as much natural. And I was shocked when I learned it. Are you following?
Yes.
Do you know the whole thing came, okay, maybe little personal, but I think it helps. I was serving my child, cooking and serving. Then I saw immense pleasure in doing it. I was just shocked. What is this pleasure in feeding my child? Then I asked my mother-in-law, I am experiencing this pleasure. My mother-in-law said, laughing, yes, you got it. That is why I always serve my children. That is why I always do. And when they say you are doing much, I never felt that way, because I enjoyed doing for them. So then I realized this is exactly what every mother is enjoying. So then I realized that there is a pleasure in serving, pleasure in non-aggression, pleasure in love. But why is it that we don't love, but mostly we aggressive? Because we are aggressive towards most number of people and we are loving towards very few people. We want to rob from everybody, but give it to our daughter. It is like that. My point is that if you don't have anybody to give to, you won't live. You won't be able to rob anybody. So you are taking from so many people, but giving to few people. But giving to few people is as natural as taking from so many people. That is what I understood. So non-aggression is as natural as aggression. It is just that some people realize and then they are compassionate or loving. So the idea that the aggression is natural and non-aggression is socialization is not true. So it is all about creation of better societies. A better society is the one people realize love and caring part also. Not that love and caring part becomes highly personal and secretive and aggression becomes formal and institutional. That is what the world is now. Rob and wreck, that is formal. But secretly, oh my darling, give to some people. But both are human nature. Why did we create a system where love is an exception and robbing is normal? This need not be. A better system is the one man expresses both. He's aggressive as well as loving. Not that love becomes a secret and aggression is public. And since we have done political thought, just see what Plato and Socrates were interested in. Plato wanted to design a system where man is happy. And he is happy being moral, ethical. How to create that man was an issue. But did we pursue? No. We created an economic system where greed is glorified. Be greedy, 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 and then no. And that is supposed to maximize wealth. It did. It reached a point where success became a problem. It is our success that has created the survival problem now. And what is the political system? The political system did not teach, which it should. Don't pursue power. But what did it teach? You pursue power and other person will pursue power. Through checks and balances, people are supposed to get benefited. Is there any teaching that power can corrupt, power is not good, there is something else? No. So what is balance of power? It is not a criticism of power. Your power is supposed to be balanced by somebody's power. So I would say economic and political system are banking on human meanness, not on his noble qualities. So create a system where man can express compassion. So the entire modern period, is modernization is all about banking on man's meanness, bank on greed. You pursue power, but then your power will be checked by somebody's pursuit of power. So we lost in terms of what kind of man we are trying to create. Of course, we created a better man, there is no doubt about it. But It could have been better if we really focused on what is happening to human psyche and are we improving. Tell me, did I make sense? Sunil?
Yes, sir.
Devansh, did I make sense?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So do you see the connection between gender issues and all these issues? Karim, you wanted to ask some question.
Yes, sir. Like previously you mentioned, so like men should emulate few things from women and women should emulate.
Yes.
So,
You are
like,
asking me what we should emulate, what man should emulate?
no, sir. Earlier you used to say when it comes to emulation, we will try to emulate the higher ones than us. So,
Man has, okay, please. Man has more power, but blind emulation is not desirable, is not good.
yes, sir, but I don't think like much of emulation is not happening from the men perspective.
That is true.
And women are trying to do more of emulation because they are given a subordinate place
That
from
is true.
and
You are
that
right.
they want to like they want to prove that we are also equally capable in
You
all
are
the
right.
things we are also
You are
doing, and
right.
they want to assert their identity, and that
Exactly. Yes. That is why you are right. That is why we need education on power. Aristotle was teacher of Alexander. And Aristotle used to say about one person who was Plato's contemporary. But unlike Plato, he was like a beggar, doing nothing, but very wise man. So Plato said that man was Socrates gone mad, something like that. So Alexander, because of curiosity, when Alexander went to that city, he knew that he came to know that person, I wish I remember his name, I'll tell you later. So Alexander heard that that man was in that city. So Alexander went to see him. So that man was just lying quietly. So Alexander went there and stood and then asked, how can I help you? I am the king, and how can I help you? He just looked at, just move away, you are blocking the sun. That's what he said to Alexander. And that is education. Alexander thought of so high of himself. But that man said, get lost.
Sir, he was Diogenes.
Huh?
Diogenes.
Exactly, Diogenes. Thank you. Diogenes. And one interesting thing about Alexander, one very great statement he made. Alexander's friend that isn't he a crazy fellow? Why is he doing like that? Do you know what Alexander said? If I was not to be Alexander, I would love to be Diogenes.
Sir,
Just 1 second. It's amazing. Behind the success and glory of Alexander, inside him, there is a different quality of mind of sacrifice, mind of renunciation. That is the reason why he went about conquering. Not because of his attachment. He was attached to exploration. He was not attached to palace. Why he was like that? Probably Aristotle. Why was Aristotle like that? Plato and Socrates. So even when Alexander became such a powerful person, behind that success, that different character was there. I would say all this is education. Not simply imitate those who have power. Just look it down. Let them enjoy. That is education. So political science or politics should teach how people are attracted to power, tempted by power, and what kind of things they do to retain power or get power, and how an entirely different life is possible when you don't seek power. Okay, how will a powerful man know what may be there in love, in child's love, and many other things? Okay, Devansh.
Yes, sir, got it.
Devansh, wanted to say something?
Nothing, sir. Sir, actually, that anecdote I had heard. So it was actually Diogenes had given up all the comforts and temptations. So Alexander said that I will break that. And he said that you ask anything you want, I will give you. And then he said, then move away and give me my sunlight. I don't want anything.
Okay. I knew it as a story long ago, but only recently I knew that was an actual conversation between Alexander and this person. I knew the story before. Okay. So people are tempted, and we should see it as a temptation.
Sir, one question. Sir, the way we discussed in allegory of cave, that those who have seen the truth will only know, and those who haven't gone out of the cave won't know anything about it.
Exactly.
So can we say that this person who was talking about get rid of my way, I want a sunlight. So can we say that he hasn't tasted the comfort, so he doesn't know what a
No,
comfort
actually
is
he
like?
renounced comforts.
Okay.
It
So
was Alexander who hasn't tasted the renunciation.
Okay.
He has tasted comforts and he gave up on his own.
Okay, it is the other way.
In fact, Mill, that is why Mill had this question of how do we know which is a higher pleasure and lower pleasure? So Mill answer is that whoever has seen both are the right people to judge. For example, Buddha knows renunciation has a higher pleasure than being a prince because he was both. It is like that. It is like that. So it is Alexander. But Alexander admired such people. So this is what it is good. We discussed many things. It's very nice. So link everything under education. What is real education? Irrelevance of classroom, the pursuit of excellence. And then education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make a man more clever. Education for all. Okay. So you can write. Let us come to this issue in the same way to issue of sexual harassment. Okay. Question like this, page 222. 22 in this book. Some questions are similar to this. He says you are a director of an upcoming infotech company which has been making a name for itself in the market. A is a star performer. He's heading a marketing team. In a short period of 1 year, he has helped in doubling the revenues as well as creating a high brand equity for the company, so much so that you are thinking of promoting him. However, you have been receiving information from many corners about his attitude towards female colleagues, particularly his habit of making loose comments on women. In addition, he regularly sends indecent SMS to all the team members, including his female colleagues. One day late in this evening, Mrs. X, who is one of Mr. A's team members, comes to you visibly disturbed. She complains against the advances towards her and has even tried to touch her inappropriately in his cabin. She tenders her resignation and leaves your office. What are the options available? Evaluate each of these options and choose the option you would adopt, giving reasons. So basically, one person is doing well, but his conduct in the context of woman is indecent. So which can be considered as sexual harassment. So how do you go about this? Tell me what would be your answer. Will you forgive him because he's doing well, or take action?
Sir, inquiry
Definitely. You will
with the
inquire.
members who
Tell
are
me, what are the institutional structures? Let us discuss what is expected in the examination. What are the institutional structures in a case like this?
Actually, nowadays officers are coming up with a committee, sir. So we
Exactly.
have
So
which
tell me, what are those committees? Now I'm talking about law. What is the law? You should write all these things. What are those committees called? What is that committee called?
Posh,
don't-
sir, Posh,
sexual
Posh
harassment,
Act.
sexual
Posh
harassment.
Act. Exactly. Posh Act. You get the details of Posh Act. And then what is the
Internal
committee
complaints-
name?
Internal Complaints Committee.
Exactly.
Internal
Internal Complaints Committee. And how is it supposed to work? Female members, complaints, discussions, and finally punishment. Okay, how is it working? We have the data reasonably working, but also the problem of not enough number of people complaining. Why don't they complain? Because they may get bad name. So patriarchy is still existing. Okay. And why it should not be like that? Because women should have proper ambience, and that contributes to women empowerment, that contributes to just society. Just because somebody is doing well, he cannot ill-treat women. So take this stand. Values, ideals, administrative arrangements, and how they are working and how they should work, and how administration works within the context of society, patriarchy, man's attitude. Okay. And how things can change, and in fact changing, though much slower than what they should be. Okay. So give all this data and say very, very clearly this should be taken. So that is at one level. Please, if you have any questions, you can tell me. So you talk about law, administration, society, patriarchy, attitudes, and these things should change. Okay. Next, anything else? Mayank, you want to say something? Karim, okay, please.
timeline according to that procedure seems to be so much, sir, like even many months.
Okay.
So
Okay.
can we?
Hasten the process. You can say hasten the process.
Yes, sir. So can we come up with some other suggestion or something like that, or?
No. Okay. Thank you for asking. In many questions, always scale up. I mean, I'm not talking about this question. Scaling up is something like this. First, informal. For example, I suspect he changed the question. This is not the actual question. Okay, you can check. The actual question was somewhat different. So let us see first informal level solution is possible, calling and finding, and then formal, and then punishment. So like this. Okay, because in one question it says that he asked for dinner, but it cannot be taken as any sexual advance. So we don't know. So if it is a communication gap. So first informal and then the formal, like this. Scaling up. Okay, but in this case, there is a lot of evidence to show that he's misbehaving. I mean, as per the case, SMS, and then he heard. So there is enough evidence to show that he's doing badly, and then action should be taken. He should be warned, and then action should be taken. But in that also, say first starting with warning, and then the next step. Finally, it's like this. So this is called escalation. Escalation. Start with the minimum. Of course, if the crime is grave, then you don't start with the minimum. So just think about it. escalate. Okay, so think of sequencing escalation. Right in the context of society, administration, and what are the issues. Okay. Next, anything else you want to add? Otherwise, in general, we can discuss sexual violence. If this is clear to you.
Sir, apart from this Posh Act, which other act we should prepare for case studies?
Only Posh Act. We don't have any. I don't think Posh Act versus and violence against women. So there are laws in about sexual violence outside office and violence at office too. Okay, there are rape laws and other laws, and then violence in office. Only two. And then another thing is domestic violence, but it is not anything about sexual violence, domestic violence in general, but which can include sexual violence also. It is like that. Okay, is it clear, Devansh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I want to say a few things about sexual violence because there are some questions which said that I feel I should have followed my book rather than this book, because in my book I have classified closely. So what they said was, for example, so many laws, but there is no change. Okay, so I just want to say a few things about sexual violence. You can use it in essay or you can use it in case studies. I think that the issue in sexual violence is a lot related to sex rather than violence. So sexual violence is mostly due to sexual desire. Okay, but what is happening in most of the discussions is that we are not talking and discussing sex. It is the most serious limitation. So I posted one video where the woman discusses there is a serious problem with the attitude towards sex, maybe in general and more so in India. We just don't talk about it. We don't discuss. And now we have discussed many things about how the world is going and what kind of education. Do you notice that every desire we have is being ignited and provoked by culture? Power, ambition, success, except one desire, sex. I'm giving a broader framework. What is the kind of culture we have? The kind of culture we have is not of restraint, is not of happiness. It is of pleasure, pursuit of pleasure. You want it, have it. You can have it. Success, achievement, luxury, comfort. So we glorify everything except one, that is sex. And what is the problem with sex? Regarding anything, you can achieve. In fact, you achieve destroying others, outdoing others. But when it comes to sex, you need 1% consent for this. Other things you do despite or against their consent, but here you need that person's consent. So I would say man is trapped here. And then coming to gender issues, man's desire is many times more than woman's desire in relation to sex. Women seem to be more favorable to love. First of all, both want sex as well as love, but we're looking at the difference. So that is why violence is usually, or almost always, by men on women. It is not the other way around. And often discussion doesn't pay attention to the biological difference between man and woman. It gives the impression women are fine and men are villains. Not like that. Man's nature is different and woman's nature is different. So the discussion is men are bad and how to control them. What kind of punishment is needed to control them? That is to miss what is the basic biology of man-woman differences. And how do you deal with this huge gap? And what should one do about this desire in the first place? What is the kind of education? What should be the attitude? So what is going on is that there is no discussion. Or everything is a taboo. People who only have secret thoughts, secretly watching pornography. Everything secret. There is nothing open about it. And then the culture of pleasure everywhere. This is taboo. So much of provocation, ignition, pornography, and old moral code, old sexual values. There's a huge gap. So man's attitude towards sex and sexual conduct, the whole business about sex is completely incompatible with everything that's going on in the world, not only in India, but anywhere in the world. Look at Bill Gates. The reason for divorce was some affair that happened long ago, that too with consent. See, look at the things he achieved. Microsoft, and then huge percentage using Windows, and his success is worshipped, his wealth is worshipped. He bought thousands of acres of land, that is worshipped. But then for him to have sex with one person, that is unbecoming of him. He becomes a villain, bad fellow. How? If all the other things are good, why only this? Okay. So extremely outdated values, outdated thinking. I mean, it's old thinking. But in that old thinking, there was a value placed on restraint itself, restraint on power, restraint on desire. Okay. Now all restraints are removed. We think freedom is freedom to pursue any desire. Earlier, freedom meant freedom from desires. It is not freedom to pursue any desire. But now we have freedom means to pursue any desire. Okay. So we have culture going in one way, but our attitude towards culture, towards sex, is a completely different way. So this is bound to lead to violence, and violence is not unique to India. It's there everywhere, including US. So some people think that women's empowerment will make difference. It may reduce, but even in countries where the women are empowered, like American universities have cases of rape, what to do? It is not a case of women empowerment. Okay. So we need to have, and also I have seen arguments saying that people are forcing sex because they don't respect the woman. That is not true. Sexual desire happens when you respect and admire, not when you don't respect. When you respect or found attractive, it is like that. So sexual violence has to be seen in terms of sexual desire. So when we see in terms of sexual desire, what to do is an issue. How do we handle is an issue. In fact, sexual violence is so much So much more compared to what is reported. What is reported is very, very small. So what is going on in domestic and in many places is so huge. And when you see that so huge, you don't think in terms of how to punish, rather you think in terms of there is a serious problem and how we should handle this problem. Tell me, am I clear on in what I said?
Yes, sir.
There is one solution that I can give you. It is not a solution to sexual violence, but I am saying the attitude that women should have towards sexual violence. I believe women's attitude towards sexual violence should be that they should take sexual violence as no more than physical violence. I would say that is women's liberation. To take as an assault on chastity and things like that is patriarchy. Do you know what guides woman's life from day one? The possibility of assault. From being a girl to a lady, she's always scared of this. All her movements, contacts, job revolve around the idea that she may be sexually assaulted. Man doesn't have this problem. It's not likely that he is just like that, he will be assaulted physically. He will, if he has money, he may be, it may be taken away, but he's not afraid of physical assault for no reason. But woman has that problem for no reason, just for being what she is. She doesn't have to offend anybody. So that guides her whole life. There may not be an escape for that, but attitude towards that can change. So what to do about sex is one, and what to do with sexual violence and what kind of attitudes we should have towards sexual violence is another. But currently the discussion is man is a villain, he's doing, and how to punish. Extremely narrow. There should be a punishment. There is no doubt about it. Prompt punishment. Okay? Because anything unwanted, violent should be punished. It is like that. Not that it is some sacred thing that is violated and so he should be hanged. Not like that. So there are deeper issues of biological nature, psychological nature, the way civilization is going. Okay. So we are having everything of, so much of everything except this most basic need, sex. Any website, my God, you order, you get anything. But sex, dangerous. And that is the most basic pleasure of man. So this is one more thing we need to discuss in terms of what is happening to culture, what is happening to civilization. It is not only love that is missed, but sex also that is missed. So we need to look at it, things broadly, and I think this is a very serious issue and there is simply no solution to this. Solution can only be in terms of how to reduce and how to create a safer world for women. There is no doubt about it. How to reduce and how to create a safer world. Okay, but more serious issues are there. That's my point.
So,
Deepti, what do you say? Tell me whether you are following.
Yes, sir, I'm following.
Hmm.
And it is pretty true that women's lives from day one are revolved with that insecurity about sexual violence. It was a powerful statement, sir.
That is what from day one. That is the difference between man and woman. She's just not free from that possibility. Never, never, never.
Sir.
So, don't you think, of course, one should be safe, but don't you think the attitudes should change? Should take it as physical, maybe little more than physical violence, but not as something that by which life should be changed. Is it not like that, Deepti?
It would be the best approach,
Yes.
but it is a very, very difficult path to come to that level, sir.
Exactly. That is true. But then it is in that direction we should move. That is the purpose of education. What is the purpose of education? To cultivate right attitudes. We are not 100% successful, but we should say what is right. Because how did this thing like chastity come? Basically, it came because man has to be sure that he is providing only to his children and not to others. Remember, fatherhood is a matter of faith. Motherhood is a fact. It is a certain. So how will man know that it is only his children he is providing for? Only through the moral conduct of woman. That is the reason why sexual standards for men and women are different. Because nobody knows who is the father. But who is the mother is very clear. So for father to know that he is the father, the wife should have a different moral standards. That is what it is. And definitely these things also can change, because now you can easily know who is the father through genetic test. Why should we go for old moral codes? So historically sex meant reproduction, but now it is not. That is why so much of empowerment of women took place. But that empowerment should be continued even towards attitude towards sex. She changed so much in terms of using reproduction methods and then pacing and then having fewer children, education, going out, competing. But that fear should go. That fear may not completely go. It would be less if the attitudes change. What do you say, Deepti?
Yes, sir, true. In fact, it is working like a spiral. When a girl child is born, she is born with that insecurity of sexual violence. So much heft is placed on that sexual integrity. And then because of that fear, when something happens, it debilitates her life. It is like a spiral.
Exactly. So that is what I meant by using the technology. Through technology, we know who is the father. Why should the old same moral code continue? And why should these restrictive code should continue? And more importantly, there should be openness. The openness in terms of what kind of fantasies and what is the source of the pleasure of those fantasies. This is what education is. To know ourselves, that is the first step. But what are we doing? Do you know what we study? Do you know anything other than what is actually useful to life? Whatever is really useful is not covered at all. So our problems are left to ourselves to solve, and then everything else they will discuss. That's what education is. Okay. In fact, because education is not so relevant, it is not transforming people. That's the reason why you have qualified people, but essentially not changed. Why? Because they don't see the connection. If they see that as they read more, they are becoming more intelligent people, have better relations, then they will see the connection. But there is no connection. It is about read and memorize and thing, and the life is, man is facing life. There is no escape from life. How you face is your choice, but there is no choice whether you would face life. You face life. How you face it is a matter of your choice. So you have love problems, sex problems, friendship problems, all kinds of problems, and education is not helpful there. So that is the reason why education is not really transforming people. So people come out with high qualifications, but unchanged essentially. On the other hand, if education raises these issues, look inward. What is your conflict? What are your fantasies? A girl is being harassed by a boy. So let both of them come and discuss why the girl doesn't accept love, why boy is so much after her. Let them discuss. And that is a lesson. This can happen in 7th class. Very early stage. Open up. These are my dreams. These are my fantasies. Open up. That should be right education. But now that mind is controlled, all controlled, and then one track mind, study. Control yourself. Whereas looking into that is education. So we think real education is distraction and useless education is the education. It's not like that. Otherwise, just simple issue of sex, what is the solution? So why should that be a problem, and why did that become a problem? And what is the way out? Sunil.
Sir, I may offend someone, but can brothels be allowed, kind of?
What?
Can brothels be legalized to solve this
Of
problem?
course they can. They should be. There should be more supply. Attitudes should change and more supply should be. Why should anybody be offended? But let me tell you, even after that, there will be a problem. But we should try various solutions. Prostitution is legal in certain countries, Europe and certain countries. And anyway, even in India also, though it may be illegal, it goes on with perfect knowledge of so many people, including police. But by making it illegal, it is contributing to harassment of the prostitutes. So one can make it legal, sane, healthy, and maybe that will change the attitude towards sex. So my point is that we should see sex as a serious issue, as a problem, and how do you handle? We should address. Otherwise, the discussion is somebody wants this and a woman doesn't want, and the violence. We're not looking at sex at all. We're not looking at the gap. Okay. In what ways the culture changed? Culture previously, remember, every traditional culture, every religion was concentrating on restraint, but this is a culture of no restraint. Most of the code in many religions was about how to control sex. What are those Sharia laws, veiling, all that's about sex. Is a good woman according to Hinduism, sex. So so much of moral code is about sex. Monk, without sex, celibacy, all sex only. Then what did we do? We have no respect for any such thing. For example, that Sabarimala, that's a completely misplaced debate, misplaced discussion. What was it meant? It was meant for men to promote, to control themselves. The idea of sexual restraint. Okay, they are away from many pleasure for certain days, and they are on a diksha, and they go out like a pilgrimage. So it is like discovering themselves, discovering their pleasures, or how to overcome them. Then that was unnecessarily made as a male issue. If men are allowed, why shouldn't women be allowed? What kind of argument is that? In fact, according to the tradition, how long women won't be allowed? The answer was supposed to be as long as unmarried or brahmacharis are coming to me, women won't be allowed. So what does that mean? It is a religious solution to sexual problem. But that was made as a man and woman issue. If man is like that, why shouldn't woman be allowed? So we don't have the discussion on restraint. We are not restraining anything. Okay, so we ignite, provoke everything, but when it comes to sex, no, blocked. India may be in a worse position, but the world is like this only. Because even in advanced countries, premarital sex is liberated, is more, man is free. But extramarital sex, no, is a very offensive thing. So they reached a crazy state where you can have as many people as possible before marriage, and after marriage you should sleep with only one person. How is that possible? So that is leading to the problems there. And so while of course at marrying, man will see whether woman slept with too many people or only few people. If few people, then she is likely to confine to one person. If too many people, the man will suspect. No. So it is not that they solve the problem, not that they're really liberated. Okay, because I feel unlike other desires, sex requires a specific person's consent. I mean, one person's consent. That is where man is trapped. I would say when man has to face certain things which are not easy to solve, that should give an occasion to reflect on the total picture. That's how I would look at it. There is a problem. Why are we not able to solve it? Probably the way we are solving other problems also may not be right. So what is the way out? So if there is something unsolved, it should throw light on the entirety. You have a health problem. You may solve that health problem, but trying to find out why that health problem, what is it related to lifestyle and how, you get to know many other things. So an unresolved problem is a game changer, is an opening point for you to understand the world. What do you say, Devansh? Am I clear at least?
Yes, sir.
You said yes. Huh? You're saying something? Karim, am I clear?
Yes, sir, very clear.
So these are very serious issues, but unfortunately the discussion is very narrow. Actually, the solution to, nobody has any solution. What is the maximum? People are angry and encounter, kill. And recently somebody, instead of being killed, he killed himself. Okay.
But sir, aren't dating apps, releasing this pressure? And
releasing this pressure is that is one thing, but we should also see how the pressure is created first. Okay, so you should see how the pressure, the whole package we have to understand. Why the desire, what is the nature of the desire, how we should handle it, and where should we meet, how much we should meet, what is the solution. There should be discussion on sex, not simply how to control men. That is my point. Because they are not in a position to control themselves. It is like that.
Sir, so are the Western cultures better than us in some way?
Yes, exactly. There is more openness about sex. Indian attitude towards sex are far worse. There is no openness at all. Okay. But I am saying even after that, they are not free from sexual violence. So this is a more serious issue. It's not just confined to India, but in India, things are worse. But let me tell you, I'm not against women empowerment in this context also, in the sense that women empowerment contributes to better. For example, somebody is assaulted on a regular basis because she is powerless. So in such cases, power helps. And these things like Posh Act, committees, local committees, all these help. There is no doubt about it. But then I'm saying this is not enough. The issue is much larger, and we need to discuss.
And sir, this focus on consent, that it has an element of consent. So just because it has been made a big moral issue, then consent is also missing, because every time we look at it from a moral point of view.
No, it's not clear. Consent?
Sir, you said that it requires consent, while we have promoted a culture where we can pursue anything, but
Anything,
here
but
we need
this
consent.
requires exactly.
And here it is also a moral issue in India. So
Exactly.
people
Yes.
also interpret consent in a moral way.
That's true. You are right. You are right. That is why there are moral issues also here. So we need to have a changed morality. We need to have a changed sexual code itself. So definitely there will be more sex and more consent when the moral code changes. But I am not thinking that if you satisfy, it will be over. It is not like that. No desire is like that. That's what we should understand. Okay. The idea that if you have, the only way to satisfy it is to have it is not true. But it does not mean the only way is to suppress it. It is not true. Okay. So you can have a problem by suppressing, you can have a problem by simply pursuing it endlessly. Okay. So we need to discuss, we need to see the intelligence of it, stupidity of it, and we need to basically this is human nature, we need to discuss. But what is happening? We blocked everything except comforts. What are we pursuing basically? More and more physical luxuries, right? There is nothing else. Whereas sex is an extremely powerful source of pleasure. We are not doing anything about it. We're thinking in terms of how to maximize it, how to satisfy it. No. Just non-sex pleasures we are igniting. That's sexual pleasure is ignited, but nothing other than that. So it is expressed as violence.
Sir, even in the name of sex education, there is just a biological chapter, but nothing about the human or psychological viewpoint.
Because we don't know what that sexual education is. Because people are not ignorant about the technique. It is not the ignorance of the, if one is ignorant of the technique and the other person is not happy about somebody not doing it well, then that education may help. But it is not like that. So one can say education is needed, but what is that education? Nobody found what the education is. So what is that sexual education that will liberate man from sex? No. So in fact, what we are talking about is education. To understand first how artificial this is, how unusual this is, how you provoke every desire but block this.
So, but then the society needs to be more accepting of this talk so that such conversations can take place in schools. And
society should be more accepting of sex. There should be more social change. And more importantly, if we think of progress should be the realization of our essence, pursuit of all pleasures. everything. We should be happy. Pleasure, pursuit of pleasure should be one such thing. Okay. So in all these ways, what we are doing is not holistic. It is one-sided. We suppress some and we provoke others. Okay, it is not holistic. We don't move as a whole. We do certain things and secretly we have all kinds of things. So it is not whole. Look at kind like Bill Gates, what kind of an extraordinary things he did.
So Tiger Woods was
Bill
destroyed
Gates
by
is a
this.
part of a Bill Gates. I mean, he was associated with one man, and it seems that he was providing girls to many famous people. So that also shows that there are many people who are achieved, excelled, but deprived of this pleasure. Devansh.
Sir, this same attitude, sir, Tiger Woods, although he was the greatest golfer, but then he was destroyed because he had many affairs. And even the Western media, they judge it in a moral way if it is after marriage.
Exactly, that's true.
And Indians, they tend to look at the entire Western model morally, that if we follow them, then we are morally depraved.
Exactly, that's true. That is why we need a discussion on this. So this is just what human being is. Human being consists of all those things. Sex is a part, love is a part, power is a part, aggression is a part. Okay, we can't focus on only those two as human instincts and how to realize them. There are many instincts. There's a huge spectrum.
Sir, one point. Sir, I think in this access to women, there is a class division as well.
Of course.
And there is a biological division also. Those with better looks and are able to access women, but those who aren't so lucky, they are deprived. And most of the time, so what I notice is those who are mostly indulge in such acts, I mean, violence against women, I mean, the rape events are not that, I mean, they cannot have access because they are not that lucky to be that good looking. I mean, that's my interpretation. I might be wrong also. Because those who are good looking, women are attracted to them, and so they get what they want.
But maybe I think the issue is not about particular men, particular woman, but it is about attitudes in general.
Sir,
attitudes in general, because okay.
Sir, the other day I was also reading an article as that sex as an incentive. So it told that when I mean, in Indian system, it is that get economic success and then get married and then get sex. So in that way, those who are not economically successful, they lose out on this. So there is very little talk in the society around this incentive, and there needs to be more openness.
That is true. That is true. But can we say that successful people are satisfied sexually? It's not like that. Sex is a very complex desire. It is not. It is even a person who has access to one woman may want more. It is like that. For example, when you watch pornography, in pornography is all about what is not available. It is not about what is available. Pornography, for example, in a pornography, you don't see husband and wife having sex. Why won't unmarried? Then there shouldn't be enough of unmarried people who would want to watch sex between husband and wife. There is no market for that. But there is a market for all kinds of prohibited relationships. So sex is more complex. So we can't say this person has access to woman and so his needs are met. It is not like that. Is my point clear, Sunil?
Sir, there is an infinite desire. There is no limit to it.
Exactly. No. Exactly. So you will have to see it is more complex. It's not like people have don't have an infinite desire for drinking water, right? They have desire only limited amount. But sex is not like that. Sex is more complex. One has to see the complexity.
Sir, Mughals had some 500 wives. Still they weren't satisfied.
Could be. So it is
Sir.
not that it just 1 second. It is not that there is something and that is satisfied. Of course, it may help. That is why there should be a discussion on sex. Okay. It is not basically sex has 3 components. Because you are discussing only biology part. Sex desire is related to aggression desire. This is one source of pleasure. Okay. Aggression in the sense that one has the idea that one has dominated the other, man dominated, aggression related. So you want to have sex with the people whom you want to control, whom you want to subordinate. Aggression desire. Definitely it cannot be satisfied with one person. And second, non-aggression desire. Love desire. To be accepted. This is a source. And third, pure biological. So even if this biological part is core, it is there, but it is more complex. That is why so many dreams are about the prohibited relations. So it is not that's like water supply there is and then it is followed. It's not like that. So what is important is to reflect on the nature of the desire, what is happening, how complex it is. Okay. So education is needed on this. Education is nothing but discussion on these issues. I would say discussing pornography, discussing fantasies, discussing conflicts is the education. And when we are discussing aggression and love, you are discussing human nature. Okay. And that should be education. So it means there is a lot to cover in education. And any economic system, political system, what should be the purpose of political system? To make man happy. How will he be happy when his basic nature is realized? What is the purpose of economic system? To provide certain goods and services in tune with what man's actual needs. You don't have to create artificial needs and then provoke men in the direction when certain basic needs are not met. So man wants sex, man wants love, man wants power. So we need to have an idea of what human nature is. Okay. Okay. Good.